Good evening and welcome to Inside Government, a show brought to you by Cayuga Community College for the spring 2022 semester here at the college. This is a show that's broadcast on Spectrum, Verizon Fios, the Auburn Regional Media Access, better known as ARMA, as well as Win 89.1, the college's radio station. We are delighted to have in our studio tonight the new head of the Cayuga County Veterans Services Agency, Kevin Swab, who is new to his post. In fact, he is so new that this is his 68th day on the job. Having served in the United States Army, both domestically and overseas, in the Middle East during Operation Desert Storm, he's also served in Haiti, and he has several connections to the National Guard here in Cayuga County and Auburn. We've asked him on to talk about his agency and how they work with the public, and specifically the 5,000 veterans that are estimated to live in Cayuga County. Welcome to Inside Government, and congratulations on your new job.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
You know, when I talked to Tom Minicucci and David Gould, I didn't know you were this new to this job. And we'll get into that, but you're not new to serving veterans and in the military. So, first of all, just some background. You sent me some great data. How many veterans do we have in Cayuga County?
So, I checked two different sources, the census and the VA website. And they both were just over 5,000. And so I can say with pretty certainty that's where we are.
So about 7%.
If you use that number.
Of just veterans. That doesn't include their families.
That doesn't include their family members. That's just veterans.
So if you include the average family, which is, in your case, a wife and
two kids and another kid.
Another kid. So that's about 20,000 people?
Mm-hmm.
Do we know not where they served, but what periods they've served at? Does the census data give us that information?
No, and I'm getting, I'm trying to get in to find out more about that. But I think the trend is we have a lot of older veterans. We certainly interact with a lot of older veterans, a lot of Vietnam era veterans, a few World War II, Korea.
So Korea and World War II, unfortunately, because of just demographics and age, they are dying off generations.
Correct.
So are the bulk of your active work that your office does, is it really with those from Vietnam, that era?
We're getting a lot of Vietnam era veterans in. We're getting in younger veterans as well, especially as the global war on terror has kind of wound down. And
2001 and those who served overseas then.
The interesting thing is that the military, I have to say military, I'm used to saying Army, but the military has done a much better job with veterans who are leaving the service, getting them into the VA system as they leave the service. And so they don't necessarily need to come to us unless they want to get something adjusted or fixed.
Yeah. So you wanted to make this very clear. You're not the VA.
We are not the VA.
Okay.
We are not. We are county employees who are advocates for veterans to the VA and other services that veterans are eligible for.
So the Cayuga County Veterans Services Agency is located where?
On Genesee Street, 95 Genesee Street. I like to say Mesa Grande is right across the street. We're in the building opposite.
So where the
Mesa Grande.
DA's office is,
Where
the
the
county
DA
health,
exactly.
There's a rent-a-center next door, and then if you go up another way, you either get eyeglasses or an ice cream.
Correct.
Okay.
It's the building with the windows in the front.
The old MetLife.
We're on the third floor in the back.
So first of all, how big a staff do you have?
So it's myself, another full-time, the deputy director. We have two part-time veteran service officers, and one of the services we provide is a minibus that brings veterans out to the VA hospital in Syracuse, and we have two part-time drivers for that.
So I do want, because you've asked us to delineate between what the Veterans Services Agency does and the VA, what does your office do?
So our office primarily interacts with veterans who are trying to navigate the VA system. It's very complicated. There's lots of rules, regulations, laws, and there are a lot of benefits available. Just like any bureaucracy, having someone to help you navigate is very important. And so that's probably the main thing we do, is help veterans navigate the system.
So a big role is information referral, which is always important.
Correct. And we also actually submit disability claims to the VA for the veteran. That's what the Veterans Service Officers
So is the
do.
Veterans Administration, for those who may not and have been lucky enough not to have to use the VA, is the VA mainly medical?
So there's three main components for the VA. There's the medical, the education, and then there's a death and burial part of the VA. We deal a lot with the medical side of things. We're very fortunate here in Auburn to have the VA clinic right here.
So that's the top of East Hill?
Yep,
okay.
Where the old Rite Aid is. When they redid that, they did a great job with that. I go there. And
so you've used VA services?
I absolutely have, yes.
Okay.
Yep. I'm one of those men who really didn't go to the doctor very much, and so now I'm getting more into going to the doctor. It's very easy to go to the clinic and get referred. And then if I have to, for specialty care under the VA, you have to go to the hospital. But VA also has a program that has really gotten better over the last several years called community care. And that's where you go through the VA and you say, hey, I have this issue or I need this test done, but I don't want to go to the VA hospital. And so they'll find a local provider, like here in Auburn. There's many of them. And so you can get some of your health care right here in Auburn through that community care program. So the thing about going to the VA hospital is it's kind of like one-stop shopping. You go there, they have specialists, and I've been pretty impressed by the VA system.
So you said there were two other parts to
So the education, which is GI Bill, and I've also used that because my oldest daughter paid for part of her college through the post 9/11 GI Bill, and that worked out pretty well.
University of Buffalo?
At University of Buffalo, when she went out there, she also went to Onondaga Community College before that. And then the other part is obviously the sad side of things is death and burial. So there are benefits that veterans can get for internment and funeral expenses.
Is it for funeral expenses, or is it to make sure that someone shows up to do the ceremony at the gravesite?
So it's funeral expenses. And I think a lot of the VA does that side of things. They are tied into veteran groups to a certain extent, and you have someone who didn't have any dependents left or people to come to a service, they'll probably tie into like the American Legion or VFW, something like that.
I want to talk about your role, but I have one other question, and we'll get back to the overall VA. Do we have an idea of the 5,000 veterans in Cayuga County? How many are disabled?
I do not have that. That's one of those data points I haven't gotten to.
But some of them you may not know, even though you were telling me a story. If you don't mind relating it, you don't have to give the specifics of it. But you had a veteran walk in.
So we did. We had a Vietnam veteran come in like last week, and this was amazing thing. And he came in because he was having a problem with his hearing, and he was having some skin issues. And there's a lot of presumptive conditions for Vietnam veterans. And the skin could be one of those. But then he told the veteran service officer, I was shot in Vietnam. And he was like, well, stop. Let's address that. He had never filed a claim since Vietnam because...
Is that unusual?
I don't know exactly what unusual is yet, but I would say so. But we've got a lot of proud people out there, and he served proudly, and he didn't necessarily want, the benefit that he was entitled to. And so, but now he's come in for a different condition. We talked him through the whole process, and we'll see where his disability claim goes from there. But I'm pretty sure he has a pretty good chance.
So I want to talk a little bit about your new post, and then we'll come back to the DD-214 and VA and other stuff. So where are you originally from?
So I'm from the Hudson Valley. If you know where Hudson, New York is, I'm from a small town called Claverick, so south of Albany. And I consider Poughkeepsie and everything south to be New York City, so I'm above that. So that's
Knickerbocker
good.
area.
Yeah.
So you joined the Army?
I joined the Army. I went to ROTC basic camp when I was 17, right out of high school. And I went to Marion Military Institute for 2 years.
Where's that?
In Alabama.
Okay. And
I was commissioned there as a second lieutenant, but you can't go on active duty until you have your bachelor's degree. And so I came back to New York, and I finished my bachelor's degree at SUNY Albany. During that time, I served in the Army National Guard while I was a student. And then I got assessed into the regular Army and went into the regular Army active duty in 1989.
And so you were in the active duty military for how long?
The regular Army, just over 10 years.
Okay. But you have had, we're getting into your other services, military related, but you have really been somehow involved with veterans in the military for at least 25 years, almost 30
years. Yeah, over 30 years.
So you left as a major,
So I retired as a major, actually right here. I transitioned from regular Army to full-time National Guard, worked in Syracuse, and then came back to Auburn and retired out of Auburn.
So how did you end up in Auburn, and what did you do for the National Guard?
So the Army sent me here I was a regular Army advisor to the National Guard. The old 1st of the 108th Infantry was on South Street at the time, and it was when the Army was really trying to integrate the National Guard and the reserve component in with the active duty. So the regular Army sent advisors to help with the training of the National Guard and Reserve. And so I was a resident training detachment, worked right at the Armory here in Auburn.
And when was that roughly?
I moved here in '96.
But before that, you had been in Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm.
Correct.
During the first, well, I guess it would be President George H.W. Bush's administration. Where were you there?
So I was stationed at Fort Benning, and we got deployed to Saudi Arabia soon after Iraq invaded Kuwait. Okay. And I was there throughout the whole time, from Desert Shield into Desert Storm.
And then after that, you got back, and then you ended up going to Haiti.
So I was stationed at Fort Drum from 93 to 96, and from there in 94, we got deployed to Haiti.
And what did you do in Haiti?
So we restored the duly elected government back into the government of Haiti. There had been a dictator who took over, Aristide
was kicked out.
The dictator. We brought Aristide back into power. One of the interesting things about that is, a year before, when I was up at Fort Drum, the 10th Mountain Division was involved in the October 3rd firefight in Somalia, and I took over an infantry company that had been there. And some of the soldiers...
Is that the Black Hawk Down
situation?
For those who may not know it was that, but know the movie.
Correct.
Okay.
And so some of those same soldiers a year later on October 3rd were in Haiti. So you got to pay a lot of respect for those guys. And I just had the privilege of serving with them there.
So then 9/11 occurred?
So I transitioned to the National Guard, and then 9/11 hit, and I was in the Guard, and we sent soldiers out to secure nuclear power plants, and then soon after we started the security missions at critical infrastructure sites like the subways, the bridges, and tunnels.
And those were people from Auburn who were part of the Central New York.
Well, all over New York. The whole New York National Guard was really involved in the response to 9/11.
And your wife works at the YMCA.
She does, absolutely.
But she's also was or is in the Army National Guard.
She spent 15 years in the National Guard. She got out as a captain, and of course that's where we met.
Okay.
And so she's also interested in veteran causes, and she actually joined an organization called Team Red, White, and Blue.
So what is it? I know it was in the... Can you explain Team Red, White, and Blue?
So Team Red, White, and Blue is an organization, nonprofit, that encourages service members to get active, and really they focus on wellness. They try and...
So not active in the sense of joining boards and committees, but active being
physically,
health-wise.
Yes, okay. Health-wise. And mental. It's a holistic approach to wellness. And she joined that because that's something she's into, working with the YMCA. She does aquatics instruction and personal training. And so we knew about the organization, but we just got a little bit more interested, so she trying it out. And we'll see what we can do to maybe bring some events with Team Red, White, and Blue to the Auburn area. So is this
relatively new?
Team Red, White, and Blue? No, it's been around.
No, I meant locally here.
Well, there's no actual post here in Auburn. Okay. The closest one is in Syracuse.
So what do you want to see in Cayuga County?
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Okay.
It's only day 68.
Well, so it's day 68. So let me ask you the basic question. Why'd you want to do this?
So my last job was working with Army ROTC down at Cornell. And it's a long drive. So that was a motivating factor, but it's not the only factor. I had actually looked at this job in the past, and it just was something that either wasn't available or it wasn't interesting at the time. And so I was approached to apply for the position, and I applied, and I was selected, and I had to make the decision because I had a pretty good position down with ROTC at Cornell. But then I thought, I really wanted to do more, and I think in this position I can make a difference in helping veterans in Cayuga County, and which has a ripple effect around as well.
So are any or all of the staff that report to you at the county, are they all former military?
They are not. We have one woman who is not a veteran, but she is awesome, and she supports everything that we do. And this is something I would tell like students down at Cornell. A lot of people go, well, I have a medical condition, I can't serve in the military, or it's just not for me. And I said, well, everyone can't serve, but everybody can support. And so I'm very appreciative of just regular non-veterans who support their veterans and the military as well.
So I know we're putting up on the screen the website and the phone, but and I think you made it clear in a note that you had sent to me. While your office is open all the time, you may not pick up the phone immediately because you're working with a veteran, but you'll get back to everyone.
Correct. So if you see the numbers, we like email. I got a number up there you can text now. So we may not answer the phone if you call, but if you leave a message with a number, we will call you back. It's a small office, and we get a lot of phone calls some days, and it's just...
Is it a steady flow?
It's a pretty steady, it's a steady flow.
And what's the range of calls from?
So the range of calls is disability claims. We get the calls about burial benefits. We got a call from a veteran. Home Depot changed the way they do their veteran discount. And he's an older gentleman. And he didn't. You have to download their app. It says you have to download their app in order to get the discount at Home Depot.
And not everybody downloads.
Not everybody has a smartphone and can get the app. So we kind of walked him through to get on your New York State license. You can get the word veteran put on it.
Oh, okay.
So you can, for a lot of places, if you show that, that's proof of being a veteran. But we worked with him and with Home Depot.
And there are a lot of businesses that you work with that are trying to help veterans by giving discounts, correct?
Correct. And we think oftentimes about the national chains, but Cayuga County has a program called Return the Favor through the county clerk's office. And so if you go in there and you show your DD-214, and let me explain what a DD-214 is.
Well, I was going to ask, so we'll come back to the DD-214 in a minute. Let's talk about veterans return the favor, because it's very interesting how it works.
So local businesses can register with the county clerk's office.
Is there a fee to do that?
No fee.
Okay.
And you get put in a database. It's on their website called Return the Favor. And you click on the link and you can see different businesses in Cayuga County and some surrounding areas that give a discount to veterans if you show proof of being a veteran.
And is a Veterans Return the Favor program only a Cayuga County program, or is it a national or state program?
Onondaga County has their own.
Okay.
So it's really kind of, this one is focused on local businesses like, Lowe's and some of the big companies, they have their veteran discount.
But you have some smaller stores that do this too. Correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. And if you go on the Return the Favor website, you can show that there's a place up in Fairhaven that's on the lake that offers a discount that I may go. I saw it on. I said that looks pretty neat. I might go visit that. Sort of thing.
I want to talk about this. And I've heard this for years. The all-important DD-214. So first of all, what is it?
So your DD-214 is the form that you get when you leave military service. It's your record of military service. So that form is the evidence that you served in the military. It shows how long you served. It shows, in some cases, where you served, what awards and decorations and what training you got, and how you were discharged from the military.
Does it give medical information?
No.
Okay.
It does not do that.
So it's important. So when is it given to you?
As you are leaving the military.
Okay. So why is it important to have?
So it is your record of having served in the military. So if you need to go to the VA or you need to ask for veteran benefits, that is the official document that other things are based on. Like there's an online service called ID Me, and you send in a copy of your DD-214, and that opens up a lot of discounts and benefits for
So
veterans.
Is that what you're asking people to participate in, or you also are asking them to have the DD-214 filed with the county clerk, with Sue Dwyer's office?
So we get way too many calls of veterans who say, I've lost my DD-214. And somewhere in the archives...
Well, let's think about it. Sometimes these people have served 50, 60 years ago. The guy who got shot, my instinct is he did not have it readily available.
I'm not sure about him, but...
I'm gonna put safe money on.
He might have, but... But if you bring it to the county clerk's office and you have them put it in the system, it is there forever.
And so that makes it easier for you to access it.
It makes it easier for us, and if you need a copy of it, like if you have a fire or you just happen to lose it, it is there at the county clerk's office, so you get a copy forever.
Only because I know you're a data guy. So any idea how many are on file in Cayuga County?
I don't know, but some of them I started checking some of went in the database, and some of them have go back World War II. Well, it wasn't a DD-214 back then, but it was their service record.
So you want to make sure people put them on file. There's no cost to this. Do they just bring it over to the clerk's office?
Yep.
Can they go to the clerk's office or your office to get their DD-214?
So yes and yes.
Okay.
We have, it's now, since they're all scanned in, we have access and we can pull them up in our office as well.
So I want to talk a little bit about people with disability. We don't know as a percentage how many vets are. So what is a disability rating?
So a disability rating is if you have a condition that can be tied to military service, then you have the benefit of getting a rating. And
who assigns that rating?
The VA.
Okay. And can it change?
Yes, it can.
So it can evolve.
Absolutely. So this was an interesting thing. Another thing interesting, it's 60 days. A lot has happened in 60 plus days. I was at my church and a youth group. I walk in and the youth group leader and this young man are having a conversation about healthcare. And they mentioned TRICARE, which is the military health benefit. And his children are under TRICARE. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good. And he says, yeah, when I'm medically retired, and he pulls his hand out of his pocket. And he had lost like 2 fingers and part of his hand in an accident when he was loading an airplane. And so he was medically discharged from the Air Force. And in talking to him, he said, yeah, so, this is something, but now I'm having a few problems on the right side because you're overcompensating. Right. And I said, you need to come in and we will do a supplemental claim based on...
So they never had claimed any...
No, he already
won. He had hand.
No, as he went out of the Air Force,
they did. Not as things had evolved.
But now he can get an increase in his rating because that condition is now causing other issues.
So you mentioned a few minutes ago, you talked about how sometimes I assume when I hear a veteran needs services, they can only go to the VA. It sounds like it's diversifying now. There's a change of national policy on this, that sometimes you can get these services from your private doctor, correct?
If you go through the VA, then you, as I said, you can be referred through the community care program to a local doctor provider.
And so what type of services are provided on East Genesee Street?
So with us is we give advice.
No, I'm sorry, the VA. I'm sorry, the VA on East Genesee Street.
So the clinic, you can almost think of that as a primary care manager office.
So it's not specialized care.
It's not specialized care.
Specialized care you go to
the VA hospital.
I'm pointing that way because that's there.
Or go through community care.
And you had mentioned in your notes to us that it's not just if you're in Albernia and you come to the Auburn, but if you're in the northern part of the county or the southern part, there are other centers you can go to, correct?
So if you live way down south, the clinic in Tompkins County might be closer for you.
So you don't have to be a resident of the county where the clinic is?
No.
Okay.
No. And up north, you might be closer to Oswego. There's a clinic up there as well.
So more specialized services are in Syracuse. What type of services do they provide there?
You name it.
Okay. So I will not. But
if we had more time, I'd tell you a story. But I'm
go ahead.
Gonna... So I went there. I found out I have a hole in my retina. It's really small, and they was like, "Hey, no big deal." Then I went to see the specialist, and while I was there, they said, "Yeah, you've got this hole. It's not in a huge deal, but there's some fluid leaking." I don't know the medical side of this, but they said, if we
doesn't sound good.
It's not the best thing, but I'm doing okay. But they say we can go over here into this other room, and we have this laser that we can kind of pin things down, and then it won't get worse, and you don't have to worry as much about a retinal detachment. So getting a laser shot in my eye was not what I had planned for that day, but the VA had that available, and so hopefully in the long run, that's something that's not going to bother me.
So you also mentioned the gentleman with the hand. TRICARE, does it serve families as well?
So TRICARE is a military benefit. It's not necessarily health insurance, but he was medically retired, so he retained his TRICARE as a retiree. I also have TRICARE as a retiree as well.
But are your children eligible?
Yes, under TRICARE, your children are eligible. For the VA, they're not eligible.
I want to cover a couple other things, but I do want to talk about the VA for a second. They were highly criticized, especially during the Obama administration, for the way they treated veterans. First of all, was that accurate in your view?
So I only know the news reports. Just like any agency, sometimes they're dependent on funding. And if they're underfunded, and you're, as being a government agency, they're going to try and be stewards of the government's money. And so maybe there was a need to put some more money in there. But I will tell you that what I have seen is they have improved.
So from your personal perspective, because you've used the services,
yep,
it's gotten better.
I believe so. I didn't really use it much in the past. And you're going to have issues no matter where you go. But I've seen the VA. I have been happy with the VA healthcare that I've received.
I want to talk about two other quick things. We've got about 3 minutes left. The city council just reapproved their property tax exemption program for veterans, I think last week. Do towns and villages have it, or is it just...
Yes, towns and villages do it as well.
And how about the county?
Well, that's all part of the county, yes.
So if you file for if the city, that covers your county tax. Does it cover your school taxes as well?
It does not cover school taxes.
And is this for all veterans, or is it only for veterans who saw combat?
So it's for all veterans, but if you serve during combat, then you can get an extra discount on your property taxes. And if you have a disability, you can get an extra discount as well.
And does your office help people apply for those?
We'll help you navigate it, but you have to go to the town office or the city
assessor.
Yep.
You have an advisory board. That's how I heard about you more than that. So what is your advisory board?
So the advisory board is made up of 12 veterans from Cayuga County around the area. And it's really interesting because I can bounce ideas off of them. And I told them I'm not the most politically correct person in the world, so if I do something that's really dumb, let me know. And we've had one meeting since I've been here. And
so what is their role?
It's just that they're
to bounce things off.
Yes, he said yes.
But they're not your bosses. Your boss is the county, correct?
Correct.
Which, oddly enough, the person who is your boss happens to be
on the advisory board.
That would be David Gould.
Correct.
The county chair. So you said you have 12 members?
Yep.
How are they picked? Where are they from? Are they geographically?
They are geographically
military service different?
They are required to be veterans for the advisory board, and I say it was formed before I got here, so I had no place in picking them. But they're from down in Summerhill, up north.
All services.
All different services. We even have a merchant marine who's on the
I know that one too. So I think that's Tom Minicucci, isn't it? It is. Okay. So two last questions. One is, what are your, again, day 68, buddy. What's your long-term goal?
So obviously I want to get the word out for veterans to come in and talk to us. If you've never filed a claim and you have a condition that could be service-connected, then we'll definitely look into it. Can't promise there'll be a benefit that'll come out of it, but if you don't ask, you won't know. If you already have a claim and you're having some other issues, again, we can update that and submit it to the VA and see what comes up. So my focus is initially here is just to get more of the word out and encourage people to come in and see us.
So you mentioned Team Red, White, and Blue and wellness. For those who want to help veterans, how can they do so?
So, volunteers would be great. I know the DAV, which we don't.
Disabled American Veterans have a van.
They have vans. They bring veterans to local medical appointments. And so if you don't want to drive to Syracuse, we have 2 paid positions for ours. But if you want to help veterans by bringing them into medical appointments locally, then you can do that as a volunteer.
And they can contact your office for that?
We'll put you in contact, but you can go on the internet and find the DAV. But
if you call us. You sent me the information, and I saw how easy it was to do that.
Yeah, you call us, and we can get you in contact with the local DAV and that sort of thing.
So I want to thank you for your time. Known you since leadership at Cayuga, and congratulations on the new job. Our guest has been Cayuga County Veterans Service Agency Director Kevin Swab. I want to thank him for joining us and all the great work you're doing for our veterans, which is important. And we hope you'll come on from time to time to give us updates on new initiatives.
Absolutely. This is great.
So thank you for doing this. We'll return in just a moment with Beyond the Front Page with Donna Lamb, the Executive Director of the Schweinfurth Memorial Arts Center, to talk not only about what's going on at the Arts Center. They have programs there that we want to talk about in exhibits, but also what's the state of the arts after and during COVID. On Tuesday, Cayuga Community College President Brian Durant will be in the studio to give us an update on the college, including moving commencement to a new day and a new location. That'll be followed by Melissa Cartner of the YMCA to talk about one of the best assets in Cayuga County, which is not necessarily just the building on William Street, but the Y Camp and how they are doing both day and overnight camp differently. Next Thursday, we will have two back-to-back Inside Government programs, the first with New York State Senator Pamela Helming, and then the second with Assemblyman Brian Mackellow to give us updates from Albany, where the 2022-2023 budget needs to be adopted by the deadline of April 1st, which is less than a month away from it. Over the next month, we have a full slate of programs and guests. Cayuga County Legislative Chair David Gould will be back in the studio. Stephanie Hutchinson, the Executive Director of the Auburn Housing Authority, will be here, and we'll also have representatives of the Auburn Doubledays. And we, of course, will have Auburn School Superintendent Jeff Perazzola and Lisa Green of the district to talk about the budget that goes before voters in May, and we'll have the city manager here as well. We also will finish our season with our annual Auburn Large School District Forum, which is scheduled for May 3rd. Before we go, though, we would like to let you know that you can send us your ideas for guests or questions for them to Inside Government or Beyond the Front Page at cozguitho@aol.com or by mail to Inside Government, 141 Dunning Avenue, Auburn, New York, 13021. I'm Guy Cosentino for Cayuga Community College. I want to thank you for watching. Stick around for an update from the Schweinfurth, but otherwise have a good evening. Be safe, get vaccinated, or get boosted.